This video is going to teach you some ceramic hand building techniques in order to make your canopic jar. We're going to start by rolling out a slab. To do this, you'll need a wooden board to stop your clay sticking to the table, a pair of timber slats, which are going to help you maintain the right thickness of your clay. The minimum thickness of your clay is about 1 finger, no thinner than 1 finger. The maximum thickness is about 2 fingers. So the slats are going to help you make it the right thickness. You'll also need a rolling pin, a jar of water, fork, and what's called a rubber kidney. This is a tool that is going to help us to smooth the surface of our clay. So here is a block of clay that I have cut from the bigger slab. You can see it's quite thick. So before we try rolling it out, we're going to flatten it a little bit. We're going to use this part of our hand. This is called the heel of our hand. And we're going to firmly but gently tap out our clay just to flatten it a little bit and make it a bit easier to manage. You can see I'm turning it over and I'm trying to keep it as square as possible. I don't want to go too thin at this point. You can see it's still fairly thick, but it is even. So now I'm going to use my slats. Don't have your slats right up against your clay. You need to give them a little bit of distance, and your rolling pin needs to sit on those slats. There's no point having one of your slats all the way out here because your rolling pin needs to sit on them. So firm, even pressure. Try to keep your slab as square as possible, turn it over, and just roll it out to the same thickness as the slats. Now we're going to turn it into a cylinder. So the width of your slab is going to be the height of the jar. When it stands on its edge, that's how tall it's going to be. The length of your slab will be the circumference, that's how round the top of your jar is. So we're going to use a can and some newspaper. Wrap your can in the newspaper to stop it sticking to your clay. And then you're just going to roll your slab around the clay, keep it in contact with that newspaper. And you can see I've got a bit of overlap there. I don't really need that much, I only need about 2 fingers. So I'm just going to cut off the excess. And there we've got our cylinder, which is going to become our jar. So scratch and slurry is a really vital technique in order to join 2 pieces of clay together. You'll need your fork and water. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your fork to rough both sides of the clay where they are meeting. It's really, really vital that you do this every time you join 2 pieces of clay. So you can see that I am making sure it's really rough, and I'm dipping that fork in the water multiple times because I want to actually create a little bit of mud there. That's going to be the glue that holds our clay together and turns it into one piece. So once it's nice and rough, you're going to firmly press those 2 sides together. And if I've done it right, you'll see there's a little bit of mud and a little bit of moisture oozing out of that join. That means I've got lots of glue in there and my clay is going to stick nicely without coming apart. So just press those edges together. Leave the can in and we're going to use our rubber kidney. So the rubber kidney has a round edge and a straight edge, and it also has a round side and a flat side. So when you're smoothing, you want to use the flat side and the flat edge, and it's a scraping motion, fairly firm. So we want to scrape over the top of that join and we want to make it disappear. Now you will get some clay on the rubber kidney. You can just scrape that off on the jar itself, or you can scrape it off on the table. Keeping it clean will make it work a little bit better. And we want to smooth all the cracks all the way around that cylinder. We don't want to see any cracks. As soon as you see cracks, you need to get rid of them. So once you've smoothed all the cracks, push your can out, take out your newspaper, and we're going to smooth the join on the inside. So when we do this, we want to always support our clay. We want to hold our clay with our join in our palm so that we can smooth it without changing the shape. You can use your finger, you can use your rubber kidney if it fits, or you can use a wooden knife. And once again, we want to make that join disappear, supporting our clay in our palm so that we don't distort that shape. So once I've smoothed that join, I'm just going to check the edges for any cracks and smooth them out. My cylinder's done. and it's time for shaping our jar. So the shape of a canopic jar is wider at the top and narrower at the bottom. So we need to decide which end is going to be top and which is going to be bottom. If they're even, it doesn't matter, but if you've got one that's quite uneven, then use that as your base. So this is a squeezing motion. You're going to use your fingers and your palms to squeeze and push in the top section of that clay into the center. Rotate your jar to keep it even. Don't worry too much about this puckering just yet. Just support your clay and push it all in towards the center. When it's pretty much touching, you want to just use your fingers to push all that excess clay and close that hole, and turn it upside down and give it a sharp tap on the table so it stands up. Now when you look on the inside, you'll see all the clay has come together and it's quite uneven on the inside. So we're going to use our rolling pin just to flatten that out a little bit. Just be gentle. And then you want to use a curved wooden tool or a spoon in a reverse scooping motion just to smooth that inside. We want the base of the jar to be as smooth as we can get it. Much better. So now it's time to fix the surface and address all of these cracks that we can see. So we want to make sure that it is straight first. So hold it straight, give it a gentle tap on the table so that it stands up nice and vertical, and then grab your rubber kidney. And we're going to just smooth the surface of that clay until all of those cracks disappear. We really want to focus on these crevices. Rotating my clay, and you'll see that I'm supporting it with my hand. The shape may change a little bit at this point, but we just want to smooth that surface. Use the clay that comes off the kidney, push it into those creases, and make them all disappear. So I really want to make sure that I've filled all of those creases and I'm supporting my clay so that I don't change the shape too much. Now to fix the sides, if I have pushed in any areas, I just want to roll it on the table. Firmly but gently. Place your palm on that curved section just to reinforce that shape. Back and forth just to smooth those sides. Give it another tap on the table so that it stands up. Now I've still got a little bit of a crack there or a crease, so I'm just going to go over and over and over with my rubber kidney until it disappears. You can see that I'm rotating my clay and I'm supporting it in my hands so that I have control over what is happening to the shape. I'm going to use that excess clay, just push that into that little crevice, back and forth over and over until it disappears. So once I've smoothed that surface, I want to have a look at the top edge, and I really need to make sure that I smooth out any cracks as soon as I see them. If the top edge of your jar is uneven, that's okay. Just making sure the sides are nice and smooth and nice and straight. So once the edges are smooth and it's standing up nice and straight, I'm going to make sure the top is a perfect circle, as close as I can get it. And then that's done.